Good day, everyone. The Finance, Credit, and International Business Association is pleased to present this executive development webinar entitled Gaining Control on Global Credit and Collections with Dashboards and Analytics. Please note that today's call is being recorded and all participant lines will be muted during this broadcast. Today's presentation will last 60 minutes and include a question and answer period at the end. However, you can send a question at any time during today's presentation by using the Q&A box on the right-hand side of your screen. Phyllis Saavedra is currently Director and Practice Lead at Imagia Corporation in California. She has been working in the field of credit since 1997, where she started as a Credit and Collections Manager. Her biography can be read in full on the FCIB website. Ms. Saavedra, let's get started.
Good morning, everyone. Good afternoon, I guess, to some of you. As Tracy said, my name is Phyllis Saavedra. I am the practice lead here at Imagia Corporation. I have over 20 years of experience in the world of order to cash. A little about my background: I've managed all areas at an executive level, from credit, collections, order management, through revenue, technical revenue accounting. So I have a very similar background to many of you on the phone. So why don't we get started? My specialty in itself is ERP implementations, technology, and operational improvements. My successes over the years have been as a leader in the CFO's organization. So why don't you let me show you today how dashboards and analytics can help you. So what we're going to cover is about 9 different areas. The first, what are analytics and dashboards? Why should global businesses consider analytics and dashboards? Gaining a competitive edge with data-driven decisions. How dashboards and analytics align with the CFO priorities. Shared service centers and multinationals. Global credit and collections management. Driving process and operational efficiency, using analytics and dashboards to drive best practices, and then I'll summarize the whole thing. So before we get started, I want to ask everyone our very first polling question. Are you currently perceived as a strategic leader in your finance organization? Either yes for A, B is no, or you'd like to be. And this is important because this is what we're going to talk about a little bit today, is how to help each of you become a strategic leader within the finance organization. I'll give you a second to answer. All right, so let's talk a little bit about the problems today facing global credit and collections organizations. What are accounts receivable managers? What are accounts receivable managers and shared service managers looking for? They're looking for better control of their operations and more confidence in reporting. The problems today faced by AR managers are 4. Our receivables data is in too many different systems. We're having trouble consolidating Excel spreadsheets, and sharing data is cumbersome. Timely reports and providing instant access to management can be a problem. And understanding the impact of credit policy and addressing collection strategies proactively are nearly impossible. So what are analytics and dashboards? I think before we begin, it's important to get an understanding of what each of these are. Today, we're shifting from spreadsheets to analytics. As you see on the left side of your screen, the old methodology used to be very spreadsheet-driven. Today, what we're looking for is a more technology-driven process. Yesterday, the credit managers used to be what we would call They're dialing for dollars. Most of these old school credit managers spent most of their time going through spreadsheets, looking at aging reports, and just making phone calls. They were black and white. I know in my earlier days, they used to refer to me as the sales prevention department. The global organizations were looked at much more as outposts. They weren't even considered in some of the things that the thoughts that were driving the company. Credit and collections departments were afterthoughts. Today, we have tools at our disposal so that we can become global leaders. We're customer satisfaction operations, and we're driven by making process improvements. If you look, you can see the results of our poll indicate just that. 75% of you consider yourself strategic leaders in the organization. These analytics, as you'll see as we go on, will help you to become even better at strategic leadership. For those of you that are not, and those of you that want to be, I think this is going to help you gain some really great insight to how you can be a leader of tomorrow. So in the strictest sense, the definition of analytics is the discovery and communication of meaningful patterns in data. Analytics relies on the simultaneous application of statistics, computer programming, and operations research to quantify performance. Analytics often favors visualization to communicate insight. This insight is what I consider the key. It helps us describe trends, and analytics also help us to make predictions about the future. So how do these analytics work? If you look at the screen, you can see this is the process for how we obtain analytics data. We mine the data, so we go into the various sources. We model the data. We view it in the dashboards so we can get a visualization. Visualization can come in many different forms. And with analytics, you have the ability to share and publish this data across your organization. This is really great. You're all members of a global organization. You likely have global teams. You either have shared service centers or you have regional operations. Analytics is a great way to be able to share the same data across those regions. It also helps you if your company is big into mergers and acquisitions. If you have a lot of acquisitions, the tough part, the part that we face the most, is how do we bring in that disparate data? We might have random ERP systems. With a tool like analytics, you can quickly bring it in and quickly evaluate the situation. So, analytics, what does it do? It brings together data from multiple sources into one central repository. It does this, it's real-time data. It can come from multiple ERP systems or spreadsheets. The beauty of it is you can use big data, data warehouses, and you can pull either structured or unstructured data in to get centralized reporting. It can be used for current, historical, or predictive data. So whereas a spreadsheet is simply current data, this gives you a 360-degree view in real time into all of your order-to-cash information. It's derived from extensive computations that are far more complex than you can get from an Excel spreadsheet. It provides visibility into the factors that drive operational and financial performance. You can look at things like KPIs, key performance indicators. You can look at operational goals, goals that come down from your management, and it can also help you managing your staff. And it can help you determine how productive people are and where you need to place that staff. Analytics versus spreadsheets. There's a couple really significant points that make analytics far more useful than the old school spreadsheet. As I said before, it comes from multiple data sources. It's multidimensional. You can pull up by product lines, by subsidiary, by region, all these different things. Whereas when you're looking at a spreadsheet, it's just rows and columns. It's two-dimensional data. It's current, historic, and predictive. So you're getting a 360-degree view. Spreadsheets only show you the data from today. The really neat part of it is that it's got visual charts and graphs coupled with drill downs. Spreadsheets are tabular. Sure, you can run a graph off of it, but you can't drill down into the information. You can provide alerts with analytics. As I said, you can get KPIs. You can look at trends. You can get advanced analysis. You can do forecasting and things like that. With a spreadsheet, the information is transactional and it's summary reporting only. Analytics are self-service. You can pull up the information whenever you want them. They're easy to share. Like I said, you can go across office. You can just send something to your CFO, your controller, your treasurer, to your staff. It's unimpeachable data, and with the spreadsheet, occasionally, I don't know if the rest of you have ever done this, but I know that when I've shared spreadsheets, sometimes people go in and change my formulas. With analytics, no one's going in, your formulas aren't being changed, the data is always correct. So what is a dashboard? In the strictest definition, a dashboard is a visual combination of a few carefully selected charts, tables, and metrics related to a specific business problem or area. This allows you to discover patterns that might be hard to detect by looking at each report individually. They also show you everything you need to know about specific aspects of the business. This is the visualization of the analysis. This is the part you can see. The dashboard is all the pretty pictures, charts, and graphs that allow for the drill down of your information. So when I first joined Imaja, I was so, I came from the finance organizations, like I'm sure most of you on the phone. I was very used to spreadsheets and looking at graphs and charts. And so when I was first shown the dashboards, I looked at them and said, oh, these are some pretty pictures, but they're not telling me a good story. And then what I learned is that there's all the information that a dashboard allows you to drill down and see in-depth information. It's a really cool process, and it's a changing of the mindset so that when you're looking at these different pictures, you understand that you can get from very high level to very detailed information. With these dashboards, you can see, here's a couple samples at least of the ones that we as a company use. Dashboards come in all sorts of types and flavors, as it were. We have credit risk, we have aging, all sorts of things. You can look at pie charts. You can do it in a pictograph. It's a pictorial symbol. Histograms, scatter plots. All of these things help you to present your data in a very meaningful way. So the power of the dashboard truly comes in its ability to combine several performance metrics. They're normally used to manage daily, monthly, and quarterly performance. They provide us with alerts and drill downs to detailed spreadsheet reports. They enable faster and data-driven decisions, and more importantly, they can be shared with your business partners. In the world of credit and collections, they can be used for DSO. For cash forecasting, you can manage global credit risk, operational efficiencies. You can anticipate collection risk. You can review deductions. You can, put quite simply, is you can proactively manage your organization by getting an insight into all the information that you as an organization own. So how can you use these analytics to become a standout in your organization? First, forecasting global portfolio risk and its correlation to its influencing factors. What does that mean? You can look at the credit files. You can manage the risk. You can see what drives that risk. You can see the important factors that may drive somebody. Maybe it's payment terms. Maybe it's too high a credit limit. Maybe, it could be any number of things. You can forecast your risk. You can analyze your collector efficiency, the trends, and manage account resources and allocations globally. You can look at your staffing. People, where do you have people? Normally you have, X amount of people per office. Well, is that the best use of your time? Credit and collections teams are always struggling with too few of resources. This way, maybe you can prove to your management that you need another resource, or you've got too many resources in one place and not another, or your resources aren't making the best use of their time. You can identify risky customers using risk scores and manage collections proactively. You can, if you have the type of business where you have a lot of deductions and disputes, you can manage the reason codes, and you can manage your bad debt reserves proactively. So why should you consider analytics and dashboards for your business? I've already told you what they are. Now you need to know why you should think about using them. So most importantly, you can gain control on your worldwide data across multiple financial systems, whether it's by office, by shared service center, if you have multiple locations, if you have multiple currencies, or if you just have a very large staff. You can see all of your data in a single place. You can also easily analyze large volumes of data and derive meaningful insights. One of the things that we do is we provide a product that builds analytics on top of big data. If your company has some form of big data storage that you utilize, and you may have years of historic data, we can actually pull that kind of data along with your current data and derive meaningful insights from that. So it's something you were never able to do before, is get both historic, current, and see it in a modern fashion. You can use all this historic data to study payment patterns. You can look at risk assessment. You can also look at driving revenue opportunities. One of the ways that I was highly successful as a leader in the credit organization was working with sales, telling them where we had room on credit limits, what regions were doing well. You can use these tools to become a member of the sales team, as it were, and help drive sales in a place that can be beneficial to the company. You can also forecast risk and cash flow accurately. You can do so by division, you can do so by product, by region, by company level. The key is to become a leader in the CFO's organization. You'll find yourself utilizing these tools to work more closely, not just with your CFO and your financial leaders, but with people like FP&A and sales. And you can, if you're not already, you can become a strategic leader in the organization. And if you are already, I think that they'll see this as a new and improved way of working on things. You can also use the dashboards and analytics to address management expectations. You're going to provide them with accurate data anywhere around the globe, and it's going to be in real time. There's no more file changes. No one's going to touch formulas and change things. It's accurate and unimpeachable data. You can use them to identify trends, spot weaknesses, and determine conditions for making decisions about the future. You can analyze the business needs. Is your company a seasonal business? Do you need to address credit limits and cash flow on a seasonal basis? Do you have a lot of mergers and acquisitions? If so, you can use this to bring information into the fold. Are you tight on staff, or do you find yourself having to justify staff? Dashboards and analytics help with all these things. I know when I was a director of credit, I often had technology and automation goals. This is a great way to do it. It's an inexpensive way to become a leader in the organization, address a technology goal, or automate some various processes. You can spearhead a project that has a very high ROI and far-reaching implications for corporate performance. So how are you going to become a leader with your peers and with your customers? You're gaining a competitive edge by making data-driven decisions. So make smarter data-driven decisions. This will help you to make suggestions to your management. You can improve service levels and reduce costs. Take a proactive approach to cash flow management. You can provide valuable insights to revenue growth. Are credit limits being underutilized? Are they being overutilized in certain areas? You can help control and improve business outcomes. Use this historic data to predict future outcomes of the business. So let's talk about three important aspects to the dashboards and analytics. They're descriptive. You can learn from the historic data and review your current data to help better understand the operational and financial performances. You can become a leader in the organization. You're leading them by learning from what the historic data you have is. It's prescriptive. You can create alerts to help you focus on problem customers, risky accounts, low-performing staff, and changes to key performance indicators. You can use them for goals and objectives, for team management. I often use reporting for organizational reviews or for management reviews. These things are very prescriptive. They help you to determine how you want to control your future business. And finally, they're predictive. And predictive is probably one of the top reasons why people use dashboards and analytics. You can help to determine future outcomes. You can forecast customer payments. You can forecast cash flow, key metrics. It helps you to make better decisions today on your risk and your working capital management by anticipating these future events. So over the years, much of my success has been in working closely with the CFOs that I've worked for. They've oftentimes helped me or asked me to help them improve balance sheet metrics, to address areas of loan covenants, all sorts of things that work to achieve the corporate goals. So how do these things help us to align with the CFO priorities? There have been several recent studies, but in one of the most recent studies by CFO.com, it showed that for 2015, the highest priorities for CFOs were going to be strategic planning, budgeting, compliance, profitability analysis, and cash forecasting. Dashboards and analytics are a great way to help you align with these CFO priorities. I have a quote here. I was recently talking with Pam Crank. She owns a company called the Credit Department, and many of you may have heard her speak at different times, but her primary customer is the CFO. And what she told me is, from the research we've done, CFOs don't like surprises. Credit managers need to be focused on accurately reporting cash forecasts and on risk to cash collections. Their responsibility is to alert the CFO of the risks and keep him or her updated as needed. Most credit managers are too busy focused on clearing transactions and not on providing critical information to their CFOs. Dashboards and analytics are a perfect way to help address those issues with the CFO. So you can help with the strategic planning in the organization. On a global basis, you can work with FP&A on cash flow projections. You can help with predictive analysis, predicting cash flow, predicting working capital, predicting areas where risk may come into play, modeling future outcomes, optimizing regional staff. Oftentimes, companies are looking how to grow, where do they need more staff? Where can you build a team? Where should you minimize a team? Can also help you with managing credit limits by risk and by region. Be a business driver. Help with the strategic planning. Is FP&A breathing down your neck and wanting accurate collection numbers? You know, FP&A has to report information to the CFO almost on a daily basis. At least they did in all the companies that I work for. Dashboards and analytics can help you be a part of the budgeting process, helping you to drive adequate levels of working capital that's needed to run the business. As you know, accounts receivable is one of the areas of working capital that is the most effective. It's the most easily able to be changed. And as credit and collections professionals, you're a huge part of the working capital of the company. You can accurately and timely help with the cash forecasting. You can influence payment terms. Payment terms are a huge part of the budgeting process. How long is your money going to be out there? Take advantage of knowing how and when your customers are going to pay. Proactively communicate shortfalls and upside. Being proactive is the key to gaining the CFO's ear. Many of you have to address compliance issues. Some of you are subject to SOX 404. If you have, dashboards and analytics provide you with a centralized view of your credit exposures. They allow you to see transactions and entity-level controls and address these controls. One of the key points of SOX 404 is making sure that you've got controls. Dashboards and analytics help you to A, have controls, and B, see where you may have shortfalls. They help you to identify material risks. Do you have risky customers? Do you have risky regions? Do you have a risky product? All of these things can be easily seen in a dashboard. They also help you to consider centralization and areas of automation. You can use the data management as a component of compliance. You can monitor significant business changes and also address material errors. In terms of profitability analysis, you can look at sales turns. How quickly will a sale turn to cash? How efficient is the whole order-to-cash team? You may or may not manage every component of order-to-cash, but you can certainly look at it in a dashboard. How quickly are the orders getting entered? How quickly is cash getting posted? All of these things affect profitability and help you to determine how profitable your part of the organization is. You can use them to minimize and report on bad debt write-offs. You can report by customer segment or geography. And one of the keys to making changes is being able to understand deductions and disputes. As you know, looking at these operational areas, you can see which areas of the company need addressing. You can look and see if you have a heavy area of returns or product deficiencies, or you see a lot of deductions or disputes on a certain type of product in a certain region. You're able to become more profitable by being able to get a quick and visible understanding of these things. We've talked a lot already about cash forecasting, so I won't go into too much of that. I just want to say that in terms of working with the CFO, you get cash forecasting, you get an accuracy of the forecast and a confidence in the number. Again, you can report by customer segment or business, and you can understand the impact of late payments from a customer. So shared service centers and multinational companies. What are the goals of these different types? Shared service center. Most companies address having a shared service center or have shared service centers because they want to reduce costs and they want to find synergies in the business. When you've got a multinational, what are you trying to do? Again, you're trying to find synergies to simplify your business. you want to reduce costs, and you want to make the regional office as successful as the parent location. So I'm going to take a moment now and start another polling question. Do you manage your accounts receivable or your credit reporting from multiple systems? A, yes. B, no. C, I don't know. I'll give you a second to answer. All right. So how have global businesses evolved to become smarter? Back in the early 90s, we had international locations, and the best that we could do was replicate data. Then, as we got into the late 90s and early 2000s, we started offshoring. As we started getting into the early 2000s, around 2005, we started looking at integrated systems that we could connect. Well, we've evolved to today, and what we are trying to do now is have smarter, data-driven reporting, irrespective of where your locations are, so that you operate as one functional unit off the same data. You don't have to worry about the complexity of time or location. Dashboards and analytics can help you do this. So how dashboards and analytics provide value in a shared service or multinational? Today's market leaders understand the need to create an integrated organization that can seamlessly connect and interact as well as respond to customers, consumers, suppliers, and resources worldwide. It's a very important point. We use these dashboards and analytics in these global organizations to analyze billing volumes, collection efficiency. We can manage portfolio risk. We can gain centralized reporting from different ERP systems and disparate systems. So if you have an organization, maybe you run everything right now on Oracle. You did an acquisition. I know company I worked for, we did an acquisition where they ran information off of QuickBooks. We ran everything on Oracle. We had to quickly consolidate this information. You can't waste any time in beginning your collections of these new entities. Anytime you open a new office or you make a new acquisition, you need to get quick and easy reporting. You can standardize key performance metrics. You can now see them across the globe. You can have the same metrics for everyone. They are easily visible to any level of the organization that you wish to share them with. You can enhance efficiencies. You can remediate problems quickly. One of the keys, as we know, in this area of the business, in this area of all areas of order to cash, is quickly addressing things. We know for a fact that, in fact, the longer it takes to collect money, it becomes exponentially more difficult to collect the longer the money is out there. Everything we do needs to be done as quickly as possible to save the time, save the risk, and save the company money. We can now get push-button reporting regardless of time zone or currency. You can see things across the globe. You can do it in one functional currency, or you can see it in the currency that it resides in. You can evaluate processes, personnel, people's responsiveness to issues, and your results. And you get rapid consolidation of mergers and sites. It's great if your company does a lot of acquisitions, and it's very quick regardless of what ERP system you run. So how can you specifically use these products? One, you can use them to gain a centralized view of your credit exposure. You can become a sales leader by doing this. You can help drive where the salespeople are making their sales. You can help them by monitoring and managing risk. You can look at credit limit utilization. Again, you can look at the over and under of each credit limit. Are you having regional issues? Dashboards and analytics give you an incredible amount of drill down capabilities so that you can get into the details of what is driving this credit limit utilization. You can drive sales and improve revenue assurance. You can become a strategic leader by looking at the geographical trends. You can help drive enterprise strategy to achieve tactical objectives. And you can use predictive analytics to create credit scoring models. You can manage your staff and customer satisfaction by getting a centralized view of your receivables portfolio. You can monitor collection activity. You can monitor things like promises to pay, disputes, payments. When are they coming in? How do you want to manage the payment terms based upon when customers are paying, when they promise to pay, how they pay? You can analyze cash flows. You can monitor and manage service levels. You can use these dashboards and analytics to basically slice and dice every aspect of your order-to-cash system. How fast is the team getting their orders in? How accurate are those orders? How quickly is it taking your team to review a credit application? How fast is money coming in? How fast is that cash being posted? All of these things can be seen with a push button with dashboards and analytics. You can understand your resource allocation and efficiency. You can view and analyze short-term cash flow forecasts. Again, accounts receivable is one of the most important aspects of working capital. To become visible in the CFO's organization, we need to be a part of this. We need to help drive that cash and be able to present it quickly. You can use the collection scores also to drive collection strategies. Who do you need to be proactive with? Who can you wait? Who does the money just come in from? Who do we need to talk to? So let's talk about dashboards and analytics and some of the forecasting capabilities. As I said earlier, being predictive is one of the really neat things that you gain from a dashboard and the analytics that you don't really get from a spreadsheet. Sure, you can do a calculation on a spreadsheet. You can do it the old school way that we've all done. We figure out maybe 60% of our current AR comes in and 20% of our over 90 comes in, or however we want to do it. But analytics allow you to forecast with confidence. They will take historic data and actually predict when the behavior and payment patterns of these customers. So you can use a behavior forecast to predict payments. You can identify risky customers, so you can use risk forecasts. Do you have risks with certain customers at certain times of the year? Do these customers, or when they purchase certain products, or you may have a customer that has offices in certain locations and you notice that the risk spikes whenever they purchase from a specific country. All these things can be, you can use the predictive nature of this analysis to statistically model future outcomes. So I'll briefly tell you a story about our company, Amaja. We had a company that was a chemical manufacturer, and they had came to us and they were having problems predicting cash flow. Their accuracy was less than 50% accurate. They came to us, we put into place some cash flow forecasting analysis. They utilized it, and in a few months, their forecasting became probably somewhere around 10% accurate. So it does work. Their business was seasonal, so cash forecasting was very important to them. They used it to become more effective in their borrowing and investing, and they've used it to adjust their forecast as the seasonal nature of their business changed. So in my personal experience, the way that I became most effective and probably most successful over the years was being a driver of process improvement and operational efficiency. It's one of the things we as a company work a lot with people. I believe that in order for a credit and collections professional, especially those in large global organizations, the way to become successful is not just calling up customers and collecting money, but it's driving process and operational efficiency. So how can you use these tools to make process improvements in collections and deductions? Many of you may have this already as an initiative. You may have it as a KPI, or it may even be one of your annual goals. Something about reducing collection times. You may have something that relates to an automation goal. You can use dashboards and analytics to drive these process improvements. You can organize and analyze disputes and deductions. You can use them to understand the root cause and fix process problems. As you go through and you look at your organization, you can see which areas most affect customers' payment. You can address issues of timely collections and focus your time mostly on the problem accounts. I think that is probably the #1 issue that faces us as credit professionals. How do we find the time in the day to address all of our customers' issues? You can use dashboards and analytics to understand which customers need more management, which need more hand-holding. Do you want to put a collector, a more seasoned collector, on a specific account because they have a lot of deductions, they require a lot of account reconciliations? You can quickly understand where to put your staffing by using dashboards and analytics. You can use it for collection scoring and DSO improvement. Most of us, no matter how good we are at collecting, our CFOs, boards, controllers, or management want us to improve DSO. The other really great thing about dashboards and analytics is you can address the reporting needs of your business with minimal IT intervention. People are always asking us for better reports. They want more granular reports. They want to see DSO by customer. How do you present DSO by customer without calculating 10,000 different times? Dashboards and analytics allow you to go granular. You could do something like a DSO report by a customer or a DSO by salesperson or collective. You can do all this, and it's a minimal amount of IT intervention to implement a dashboard or analytics solution. Operational efficiency. Operational efficiencies lead to reducing costs. You're getting timely insight into the business. If you remember, reducing costs is one of the top factors of importance to CFOs. Business happens in real time. You want to be able to improve the order-to-cash cycle with short-term, high-impact actions. Everything needs to happen quickly. You can free up your time to do other things. You can achieve all of this at a low cost and a high ROI if you adopt dashboards and analytics. So we all want to be industry leaders. Many of us join groups like FCIB. We share information. We want to learn industry best practices. It's so important to stay current. How can you use these analytics and dashboards to drive best practices? You can take advantage of these prepackaged analytics and cloud-based solutions or on-premise solutions to drive all of these solutions, to drive your best practices. As we like to say, they tend to have a high ROI, they can be completed with minimal IT intervention, and most importantly, they have far-reaching corporate implications. So once you determine what your best practices can be, you can use these analytics to help achieve these. You can take advantage of the automation, technology, and visualizations. You can use them to help establish policies and procedures that consider regional or business line distinctions. I think that's one of the problems. When we drive policies and procedures, when we have to write these down, whether for a corporate goal or whether we have SOX goals, oftentimes we don't have the ability to consider the regions or the business line. Analytics allow you to go into that granular level and be able to set up these policies and procedures and best practices with regional and business line insights. You can set goals and KPIs, metrics, and you can review them regularly on a dashboard. If you do team reviews, if you do staffing reviews, you may have to sit in once a week, once a month with your management and review things. You can use these dashboards to quickly and visually present how you're performing. The bad debt write-offs, DSO, how all the things you're putting into place, how DSO responds, delinquency, order to cash process times. You may be asked to analyze the need for a centralized or decentralized department. Many of you may have been asked to determine whether or not a shared service center would be appropriate for your company. Some of you have shared service centers and may want to look and see, is it being efficient? Would it be better to bring things back? All of this reporting gives you ease of review and helps you make very valuable decisions for your company. You can optimize credit policies across the region. Are you having currency implications? Are you having political implications in a certain region? You can use these to monitor things like that. You can analyze customer segments. How is a certain segment having the impact on DSO? You can help drive product decisions, because is a specific product paying slowly because there are a lot of technical defects with it? Maybe you have shipping issues with a certain product. The shipping issues are driving how a customer is paying. You can use these tools to analyze by customer segment. You can drive staff training. You can give your staff real information about how they're performing in a region. You can share it. You can share it with each of them in your one-on-ones. You can produce meaningful and repeatable management reports. When you sit down with your boss, how nice would it be to just sit down and talk on a granular level about what's happening in your organization? You can utilize these tools to increase knowledge and improve customer satisfaction. After all, the customers are the most important aspect of our business. So what is the true power of analytics? Analytics gain their power in their ability to gather data. They allow us to draw insights from this data. They allow us to see a linkage between assessment and performance. They help us understand our clients and customers. They help us to gain buy-in from the organization. If you want to do a project, if you're having an issue with order management, if you need staffing, if you want to set up a shared service center, if you want to tear down a shared service center, this gives you the data and the knowledge to provide an insightful argument to those around you. The data itself is unimpeachable. There's no manual or man intervention. It comes from all the sources, and it comes in a single location. There's a strong methodology for this type of data, and it truly is the single source of truth. So our next polling question and our last polling question, do you have a dashboard, BI, or reporting technology initiative or goal at this time? Yes, I have one in the next year. Yes, I have one in the next 2 years. No, we don't have one at the present time. I'll give you a moment to answer that. Okay. Well, I want to thank you for joining us today. For those that would like to come and meet me, if you're coming to Credit Congress, Imaja will have a booth there. We'll be at booth 230. I hope everyone will stop by. And I'll quickly give you the results of the most recent poll. So 44% of you do have a goal in the next year, 22% in the next 24 months. And for those of you that say no, which is 33%, I'm hoping now that you understand the power and insight of analytics and dashboards, you might want to consider one. So we're going to open the floor up for any questions that you may have.
To ask a question, simply type your question in the Q&A box on the right-hand side of your screen and click send.
So I've got the first question here, and it is, how much of my IT department's time will this take? So pretty typically, I don't think our solution is too much different than anybody else's. Most of them have, for most ERP systems, we have pre-built connectors. It typically takes about a week for IT to connect, and 1 to 2 weeks for data extracts. All in all, it probably takes about 10 working days to 2 weeks to implement this solution. So our next question, how do I justify the cost? That's a good question. Credit and collections, it's always difficult to justify the cost of things. I know that when we're providing a solution and you typically do a demo, we get information on the company. ROIs are very easy to create for this type of tool. They're very low cost, depending on what the goal of the tool is. If it's a cash forecasting tool, we can show very easily with the tool how we can increase the number of days, or improve the number of days, excuse me, it takes to collect money. If it's credit reporting, we can turn risk factors into dollars. All those things, we have some pretty standard formulas, and I'm sure us or any other analytics solution you would use would be able to create a quick ROI. So any more questions?
I don't see any other questions. Do you have any closing comments?
Oh, I just want to thank everyone for joining us today. I think that, as you can see, dashboards and analytics are a very powerful tool for the global credit professional. And whether it's with a company like ours or some others, I think that you will find that they will help you to become a very intricate part of your CFO's organization if you're not already. So again, thank you. Everyone have a great day.
And with that, we must conclude today's webinar. Thank you for your participation, and a special thank you to our presenter, Phyllis Saavedra. You'll receive your certificate of attendance from FCIB later this week. FCIB would also like to take this opportunity to remind you of their no-contract, pay-as-you-go international credit report services, which use only the freshest financial information gathered by the best sources from local on-the-ground suppliers and not from a database. You can access the service on the FCIB homepage under the Country and Credit Reports tab. Today's program and materials are copyrighted 2015 by the Finance, Credit, and International Business Association, with all rights reserved. This concludes today's program. You may now disconnect.